It's been a long Sunday. My hair has been rather violent today. I've had it pulled up in a ponytail. I've had it down, everything. I'm just here with the good book, my King James Holy Bible. I had to toss in my lip stuff to mark it. So we just got back, actually, after church. We went to go watch Brink of War, which is a really interesting movie, historical movie. It had some funny moments, but it was really kind of one of those movies that it's like, oh, wait a minute, we really need to pay attention to this. And one of the reasons to pay attention to it is because it goes back to Charlie Kirk, who pointed out we need to be able to talk to one another without shouting and arguing. Well, okay, arguing, we can argue, but only if we allow the other person to talk without shouting over them. We may not agree, doesn't matter. Let the other person talk. It's kind of like having a conversation with God. You can't talk, it can't be a one-sided conversation even with God. When you pray, you be silent and you wait for an answer. Maybe yes, maybe no, maybe wait, maybe tomorrow. That's on God. Let God handle that. So I am a firm believer that Charlie Kirk knew what he was talking about. So there's that. For anyone who has anything to say. Because I recently had a conversation with somebody who disagreed with how Charlie Kirk handled things. They didn't believe that it was good that he passed, or was murdered. But I firmly believe that we need to stop and talk. And then we also need to stop and listen. Because if we don't listen, how are we going to get the rest of the story? Do y'all remember that? I say to y'all, okay, there was this guy many moons ago, Paul Harvey. He used to have, was it WBAP? I can't remember what station he was on, but he would tell a story, and then like there would be something that happened in between, and then he'd say, now for the rest of the story. So you speak, you think about it, you internalize it, you sit on it for a minute, think before you speak. Now, he was just reading the news or telling the news or whatever, but we, as a whole, need to stop and listen and talk to one another without shouting or trying to shout over the other person. And I don't know why, but for some reason, my brain was like, what about the Tower of Babel? What on earth does the Tower of Babel have to do with any of this? I don't know. But that's where my mind went. So maybe while I discuss it, we'll figure it out. You know? The Tower of Babel happens after the flood. After Noah, builds the ark, all the animals, all the dinosaurs, all that are on board the ark. And then they land on Mount Ararat. Yes, I had to think about that one because I've been reading the Winged Feather Saga, and here we are, there we are, here we are, here we at, kind of thing. Sorry, my brain's just all over the place. We're waiting for the 4th season to come out. We are super excited. It comes out in September. I think September 12th is what it says is coming out. And I'm so, okay, focus, Brittany. Okay, so in Genesis, am I even on the right page? Yes. In Genesis, we talk about the story of Babel. Now, the people wanted to build a tower that could reach to heaven, and said, and it's Genesis chapter 11, verse 4 through 9. And they said, go And they said, "Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth." The Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of the men builded. And the Lord said, "Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do." Sorry. "Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. It's a very short story, but it's an important story nonetheless. Think of it like this, and this is how I think of it. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Lord saw the pride in the people who wanted to build the Tower of Babel. They wanted to be like God. They wanted to get up into heaven, make a name for themselves, as it says. They wanted to build this and, in a word, conquer heaven. Now, obviously, you and I both know that heaven, it cannot be reached. Cannot be reached by a tower. But it's not necessarily that God was worried that they would reach heaven, so much as it was that they became prideful in what they could do. See, they said, "Lest," let me go back, "lest we scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Let us make us a name." They're wanting to be a great people by saying, "Haha, look at us. We're like God or better than God, or we have conquered God," which they wouldn't have been able to do anyway. It's the principle of the matter. Let's go that route. You cannot do it. Doesn't work that way. At least they recognized that God and heaven were there. They didn't say, "He's not there, so we're going to go conquer this." They weren't atheists. They weren't people who don't believe that the Lord didn't exist. They knew he was there, but they made it a point to say, "You know what? Let us conquer it. Let us be," what does it say? "Let us make a name," or make us a name. And the Lord saw what they were doing. So why was I thinking about the Tower of Babel? Because whenever he, mishmashed the languages, how could they speak to one another to say, "Hey, a friend of mine that lives next door to me, I will trade you a sack of potatoes for a bag of beans"? I really don't know how the bartering system worked at that point. That's on me because I could learn, but I just have not. It's not really. So how can we become a unified persons or people if we can't communicate with one another? I saw an ad on Facebook that talked about the Bible being written in multiple languages so that other people can understand it, which is great. We have translators. We're able to communicate in that capacity.